fill in on a couple of announcements that are important. Next week, we will be meeting in person at Sequoia State Park at the end of SDR, and we will not be streaming, just a reminder in case you heard that before. We will upload the message later, but everybody's welcome to come join Sunday morning at Sequoia State Park at the Lake House, whether you are coming to SDR or not. So come on down. And then we have the annual holiday meal and annual celebration coming up on November 23rd, where we will discuss church stuff and look back and look to the future. So let's pray, and we'll start the service. Father God, I just want to pray again for those brothers and sisters who are enduring persecution around the world, like we've just watched a couple of videos to remind us of that and to fill us in on just a couple of countries where those things are happening. And I just pray for you to be with them and for strength and courage. And I thank you that you do promise that you provide what they need and that they will have a grand entrance into your kingdom. And Father, I pray that you would also provide for us what we need to live the life that you've given us and to support our brothers and sisters around the world in whatever way that we can and that you would have us to do. Father, I pray for the service this morning that you would be glorified here among us. I ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
To discover some significance. We're going to enter the battle. So today, this is a day of prayer for the persecuted church, and it fits with where we are in our series. So we're going to go into this, developing this some, and give you some perspective. Let's start with Christians are being persecuted. We saw the two videos introduced a couple of things that are going on in India and Colombia. And so we have an idea of that area. 340 million Christians worldwide are currently facing high levels of persecution, discrimination, and that means 1 in 7 Christians globally experience some form of oppression due to their faith. Some of that means they can't get housing, quality housing, or sometimes it's just a shed or a roof for a place to live. And in Egypt, they're often left to live in the dumps so they can find food or whatever they scrounge out of the dump areas. The ones who are in Pakistan, the Christians are often left with jobs that are really menial, but also the dirtiest jobs. Mike Rowe would be proud. They have to go into the way that their sewer systems work, which aren't anything like ours, but they have to clean them out. So if you just imagine these porta potties that are around and they get pumped out, or they send them off, or they get things out of the bottom of that thing. Well, they have people who do that. They go down in holes and they fill up buckets and then they carry it back out, and they use Christians for that purpose. So finding a job, finding a place to live, getting an education, not allowed in many places to pursue that. So there are limitations, which seems odd here because that's not how we've operated in the West. And so that is it's a huge thing. There doesn't mean that there's not some form of oppression. It just is different the way it shows up. But I wanted to give you some of that so you'd have some idea of what's out there. American culture, we have something else going on. Jesus said in John 15:20, if they persecuted me, they will also persecute you. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, Matthew 5:10. So he's given us a little bit of info. It's going to come. It may look different in American culture, so here's a little bit of info on that. Social ridicule and mockery, and maybe you've run into this. Christian beliefs are often portrayed in social media, popular culture, TV, movies, whatever, in entertainment. Christian beliefs are portrayed as ignorant or bigoted, and you just get hammered with that. They mock prayer, faith in miracles, or moral convictions because those are just outdated, not scientific, and public expression of biblical beliefs on moral issues like sexuality or sanctity of life often results in being labeled intolerant or hateful. Anybody else can share their views and it's acceptable, but Christians say anything along those lines and it gets labeled, and it's pretty fast. Educational academic bias. Universities and schools, Christian perspectives are dismissed as unscientific or biased, even in subjects like philosophy, ethics, or history. And students who express biblical convictions may face lower grades, public ridicule, or disciplinary action under claims of offensiveness. Sometimes Christian clubs on campuses are denied access, so sometimes that's an issue. Same things happen in workplace or corporate culture in America. Governmental challenges, trying to adopt kids if you're a Christian and you don't believe in a multitude of genders. Some states won't let you adopt a kid. You just go, what? Just having a Christian view makes you ineligible, and because you're practicing hatred. Culture to be silent. Keep your religion private. And rebrand Christmas as a holiday season, but just get rid of any of that Merry Christmas kind of stuff. And then sometimes it's happening within families, so believers are told to just be quiet, or they're just pressured emotionally or relationally, just be silent. So Thanksgiving is just a time to eat food, get the family together. It's not a time to thank God for what He has protected us from or provided over the last year. We can't talk about that. It's just about the food and getting some people together. So we marginalize Christ in order to make people feel comfortable, and that's one of the things that becomes a huge factor in some of our family gatherings. So erosion of Christian influence, public life. Christians are excluded often in media discussions or policy debates. Some of that is changing, which is really good. You should have some voices from every angle. There are zoning restrictions, and someplace a loss of charitable status if you hold a biblical position, and it becomes a challenge even for the spiritual side of things. So there's spiritual isolation, intimidation, depending on where you are, and depending on the pressure within a particular culture. Even in the United States, the particular culture can be just a community that has gone a particular direction. That could be the academic side. If the university has gone in a direction that moves away from Christ, which is true for Harvard or Princeton, founded to support based on Christian truths and to train people in Christian truths, and then that has changed to be Not so much. We don't think there's any validity to that. So they've moved in another direction. And that's happened across the country. So that's just here. We don't really see the spread of the kind of violence against people that we saw in the video that's happening in other places. Like Nigeria's got the worst persecution that's happening currently. And so that's in Western Africa. What we'd like to do is I want to invite you to enter the battle. This battle is to honor Christ, to be what he's designed us to be as children of God, to be part of this effort to bring light into darkness. So here's bring light. The powers of darkness want to put out the light in your home, your church, your community, your country. And we are to be the light. We are to be the people who are going to represent Christ and truth. And he has designated us and said, you're to be the light of the world. You are to bring this kind of truth, this kind of love into relationships, into life, in every aspect of life. So bring the light. And it only takes, in a dark room, a tiny little candle, and the darkness runs. So when we take a stand for Christ, the darkness is going to back away. Anytime we take a stand, anytime we mention him, anytime we lift him up, when we give him credit for the things that are happening in our lives, the darkness just wants to take over, flood. You can see the way attitudes change when the darkness begins to move in. The approach to each other changes. The conversation it can get dark rather quickly. And this is coming at this with just lighting a candle in the darkness and pushing that darkness away so that maybe somebody else can see the light and then they can join. And then you add more light and the darkness is pushed further away and things begin to change. The easiest and most ineffective thing we can do is complain. Anybody ever done that? How come they don't fix it up there in Washington? How come that guy in Oklahoma City doesn't? You don't know that guy, either one of them. You don't have anything to do with them, and they can't fix it. The darkness is the darkness. You can fix the darkness right where you are every day. Every day. His job, he stands before God for his job. You stand before God for your place in society, in the family, wherever you are. Your job is to bring the light. You are not appointed to complain. You have nothing that will help by complaining. Your voice, when you're speaking light, changes things because it pushes the darkness back. It pushes it out of your house, out of your heart, out of the community that you're in, whether family or church or country. The powers of darkness want to put out the light in your home, your church, your community. That is the goal. So we're going to stand firm. Stand firm. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 9, Peter says this, stand firm against him, the devil, be strong in your faith. Remember that your family of believers all over the world is going through the same kind of suffering you are. Now, he's writing at a time when there's some things like we heard earlier. People are being beaten, hauled off to jail, they're imprisoned, killed. I mean, things are happening. So he's writing to the church at that time, and saying, we know this is going on, but stand firm. And he identifies that it's the Romans. You read that, right? Stand firm against the Romans. Stand firm against the Jews. Stand firm against the... Why would he pick the devil as the one who's behind it? What is happening that includes another entity from another realm as being part of this problem? Because for us, it's mainly, the government didn't come through. Somebody ticks me off in the neighborhood, so it's their fault. And Peter's going, there's something else happening here. It's behind the scenes. The darkness wants to take you out. And the darkness, if it can get a hold of somebody, and that can be somebody in your family, somebody in the community, somebody in Washington, somebody in Oklahoma City. Darkness can get a hold of somebody. We are here as representatives of the light. Stand firm against him. Stand firm against the devil. Be strong in your faith. Because this persecution thing, this darkness is happening everywhere, globally. So we kind of get a picture of how this thing is working. Cosmic impact. As you join with God and his agenda and with his power, you make an impact. The darkness hates it. The dark entities hate it. The powers and the authorities that have usurped certain bits and pieces of what's happening in this world just hate it if you take a stand and you stand firm in your faith. If you speak truth, if you have the right attitude, if you are working in your garage and the wrench slips, you hit your knuckle, your first thought is to say something about that loudly. And the darkness rejoices because our attitude has suddenly joined with them in how horrendous this world is, the brokenness. And that just illustrates what happens when we have something go sideways in a relationship. Something doesn't go well the way we want it to go, and just when we're planning the weekend. And so the agenda is not fitting what's in our head, so obviously we have a right to have a meltdown. Attitudes become problems. Words come out, and the darkness is just gleefully dancing that we would go along with going sideways over all of those things instead of saying, God, this is the day you have made, and I will be just ticked off in it. This is a day you made. You made. With all that comes with it, you made it. My job is to stand firm, isn't it? Stand firm in the faith. And to speak light into the darkness, even if I'm alone and my knuckles are bleeding, to speak truth, to still maintain that stand. Not collapsing because something didn't go my way. And I'm bleeding all over the floor. And we've all been there. So how do we stand firm? How do we do these kind of things? What is it that we're speaking into this cosmic thing that is bigger than we are? It's lasted since before any of our great-great-grandparents showed up, before this country ever existed. All of this has been going on since the get-go. It's going to keep going on until Jesus comes back and changes it. So this is our life. This is the life we've been given. And we can make an impact. Each one of us can make an impact to change more than a 3-star general on the battlefield. And we are called to enter the battle, to do something, to take that stand. So Ephesians 6, 11 and 12, you're familiar. It's going to talk about God's armor and knowing the enemy. So Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on all of God's armor so that you will be able to stand firm against all strategies of the devil. For we're not fighting against flesh and blood enemies. Uh-oh. But against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. Therefore, put on every piece of God's armor so you will be able to resist the enemy in the time of evil. Then after the battle, you will be standing firm. You're going to put on the armor, operate in his strength, the Lord's strength, be able to take this thing on. So, stand firm against the enemy. Stand firm against the enemy. Entities opposed to God from beyond this physical realm are determined to destroy you and all who follow Christ. That's the goal. They want to take you out. Entities opposed to God from beyond this physical realm are determined to destroy you and all who follow Christ. It is on. That battle is on. In some places, it takes over military groups or political positions in a country, and so they are physically abusing, killing Christians, that kind of persecution. In other places, it comes emotionally, mentally, just by sidelining Christians as much as possible, silencing Christians as much as possible. Any way they can keep Christians from being the light is the goal. So they are determined to destroy you, and it's coming from every direction. And once in a while, and maybe it's helpful to look in those rear view mirrors and look back over your life and say, yeah, I can see something happening here. I was trying to do something right, and I got this kind of attack, this put down, this something that tells you, yeah, I was actually being attacked and I was being opposed. Their strategies are sophisticated, ancient, and advanced. Their strategies are sophisticated. They know things, all kinds of things, and they have been doing this for a long time. They were created before any human being was, and so they have knowledge and they know what's out there that we don't know. They have information about technology and ideas about life and philosophy and communications and what grabs people's attention, and they know how to work it in such a way that it cleverly enters into people's lives and it's there to destroy them. And as human beings and, being kind and wonderful Christians, we just go, well, that's okay. That's just how they are, without looking to see what source, what evil, where is that actually coming from, looking beyond some of the simple things that are in somebody's life, even in ours. Where did that attitude come from? Where did that thought come from? Because it's not maybe typical. And here it is. Why would a mother of 3 take her small children and drown them all in the bathroom some afternoon? Just, I think they'd be better off if they're just dead. Where does that come from? And it can be mental illness, sure. They could be forced to do it by an outside force, a military, somebody holding a gun to her head. That could be. Or it could be that the darkness has gotten a hold of her and created in her this idea to destroy the family and to kill the kids. And you go, oh, so it's there. It exists. It's around us. Strategies are sophisticated. They're ancient. They've been around since the get-go. And different things have been tried. So it's very helpful to look at history and see what things have unfolded. How did people react to different things, different kings, different political systems, different areas of life in different realms, different countries? How did they respond? This is ancient. This is not new. You can see these patterns over and over again. happening. And then when you think you've nailed it, well, they would never do it this way. They certainly will. And they'll come up with a new one because to us it's new. They've been doing this a long time. Again, sophisticated, ancient, and advanced. So there are things that we think, wow, we're just really coming along. We've got laser cutters. We are so out there. So how did they cut stones so accurately that you can't slide a business card between them, and then place those multiple-tonned stones in perfect order, and they're in places all around the world built like that? And they didn't have cranes, they didn't have forklifts, they didn't have laser cutters, and yet our laser cutters can't do the job as well as they did. Just a heads up, they have advanced technology and they have access to things we still haven't figured out. And some of this, especially when it comes to killing, some of the dark entities have passed that information along. The enemy knows your strengths and weaknesses. The enemy watches you. Now, they're not around you all the time. It's not 24/7, but they know enough. And they've seen enough people over time that they can guess, pretty much fill in the blanks. But they are around, and there may be seasons in life when if you are seriously going to follow Jesus. Man, I am so motivated. I'm going to get into the scriptures. I'm going to study from, and I'm definitely going to be getting up in the morning and praying. I am serious about, and then by Monday afternoon, you forgot all about that. Where does that go? Who showed up to take your mind off whatever it was that was motivating at the moment? But now that's just, gone like the wind. And he knows your strengths and weaknesses. The enemy knows what to do. And knows if you have gifts, you have abilities, and you could actually use them, and you do have them, because everybody's been given them. If you actually use them with confidence in the Lord and his strength, that the darkness would be depleted. I don't want that. So whatever it takes to keep you from ever feeling confident enough to just keep running back through, well, I'm not that good a speaker, I just can't say anything, I'm a nothing. You just keep buying that. That's from the enemy. That's not from the Lord. Just to keep you silent, keep you quiet, keep you off balance, because they know your strengths and weaknesses. They don't want your strengths out there. Be strong in the Lord and his power. Be strong in the Lord and his power. That's where we start. That's where we stand. Pray. So pray. Talk to him. Talk to him about the things that are going on inside. Trying to figure out how to walk with him, how to do this thing. And then pray for others. Pray for the persecuted church, which is what we're talking about today. Pray for those in this group, in this church, people in our families, people in our circles. Pray. Pray. Ephesians 6:18, let's look at that. Pray in the Spirit at all times and on every occasion. Stay alert. Be persistent in your prayers for all believers everywhere. Oh, wow, my prayer list had like 3 things on it. It's mainly how I'm feeling and what I think about what so-and-so's doing and they ought to fix it. And, that one person down there, the church, has some kind of surgery. I'll pray for these 3 things. Pray in the Spirit all the time, people everywhere. That could take a lot of time. So you have to learn how to do it, pray in the Spirit. We don't have time to cover that, but SDR will cover a little bit more of that. Stay alert, be persistent in your prayers. Blessed. If you are insulted because you bear the name of Christ, you will be blessed, for the glorious Spirit of God rests upon you. If you are insulted, if you are marginalized, if you are pushed aside, if you are laughed at, whatever it may be, you will be blessed, for the glorious Spirit of God rest upon you. 1 Peter 4:14. And that takes us to this is a great time of year to do this, holy days and Jesus. Holy days and Jesus. So we gather together with family, and we talk about the recipe, the food, and how we used to celebrate and what they do if you have guests, what they do at their house, and we compare notes on all that, and then we have dessert. And there it is. Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever it may be, these holy days when we get together, we ought to please God, not people. We ought to please God. The holy days are to honor Him, aren't they? Isn't Thanksgiving like giving thanks to God for the things that He's brought? So why is it about pleasing people? What happened to the idea of pleasing God on holy days? And Christmas is made up, just like Thanksgiving is made up. It celebrates a particular moment, and it's worth attention. But somewhere in the midst of that, he ought to get some praise, some consideration. Maybe we could shine a light around a meal. Maybe we could point to him and talk about the things that he's done. And that doesn't hurt to talk about recipes, but it doesn't have to be everything. Because God is the God of recipes. He provided the food. He's provided the ingredients. He's provided all those tasty things we get to enjoy. So enter the battle. Enter the battle. Stand firm in Him. Draw near to Christ. Pray. Pray for those people around. Be the light. Be the light in quiet, silent moments, alone, in a crowd, on holy days, wherever you are. Be the light. The things you do, the things you say, your attitude, your approach to life, be the light. Enter the battle. Stand firm in your faith. Pushes the darkness away. One candle in a dark room pushes the darkness out. Darkness doesn't win. Be the light. Enter the battle. That's the challenge, that's the goal, that's the opportunity that we have in this world to change things, to ultimately change things. We're going to do some communion. What do we got coming up? Let's do the Behold the Lamb.